So in today's video, we're going to do a cost of living update focused mainly in the areas of the real estate market here in Knoxville, Tennessee. My name is Todd Jewell, and me and my team receive calls and emails every day from people just like you who are looking to make that move to Knoxville, and we love to hear from you. We don't care if you're looking to move immediately. If you're not going to be moving for a year, go ahead and reach out to us, phone call, email, text, or schedule that Zoom meeting so we can meet face to face and make your move as easy and stress-free as possible. Let's get to it. So we've done another video on the cost of living 3-4 months ago here in Knoxville, and you want to check that out. And the reason you want to do that is you can get a lot more detail into the overall cost of living here in Knoxville. I'm going to talk a little bit about the real estate taxes now, because based on that video and the other research that's out there online, one of the things I'm hearing from a lot of you is they're very confused with what taxes they're going to be paying on the property that they purchase here in Knoxville. One of the confusing areas is when you look them up online, you may be looking at a $500,000 home, and one $500,000 home has real estate taxes of $1,780 a year, and the other $500,000 home has $3,000 a year in real estate taxes. And people say to me, why? So let me explain the difference. So here in Tennessee, counties and charge real estate taxes. So in our area, you've got Knox County. The city of Knoxville sits inside of that. You have Blount County, you have Anderson County that the cities of Maryville and Oak Ridge sit inside of. So what you're going to have here is you always will have county taxes. Now, our county tax rate is 1.554% here in Knox County of per $100 in assessed value. What does that mean? We talk about in this other video. It means that you're going to pay less than $2,000 a year in real estate taxes for a home that's valued at about $550,000. Now, if that home sits inside the city limits of Knoxville, or inside the city limits of Oak Ridge, or inside the city limits of Maryville, or any city here in the state, you're also going to pay city real estate taxes. My rule of thumb is to just double the county taxes. I've known that that'll usually always make me just a little bit high. So if you're looking at homes and you see that variation in taxes, it probably just means that the home sits inside the city limits. Now, that comes with certain benefits, like the city's school system. If they have one, say in Oak Ridge City, you're in the city system. Same thing over in the city of Maryville, you get the Maryville city system. So there are some benefits that come with that. At the same time, you do want to look and check out the difference in taxes, because that can be substantial when you look at the overall holding cost for your home throughout the years of ownership. I'm also getting a lot of questions right now, I guess, because of what's going on in the state of Florida with insurance and stuff. You can look up online what it costs to insure a home here in Tennessee in general, but our insurance costs are very, very affordable when it comes to homes. So if that's an area of concern where you say, you know, I want to make sure I don't go into anywhere where I'm going to see some unforeseen costs that nobody's talking about, our insurance costs are going to be below the national average for a home. You're also going to see our utilities at about 2% below the national average. So those are going to be there too. Like I said, you can always look at our other video and get some more detail into that. Okay, so now let's talk about why real estate taxes are so important. I'm going to get into here in a few minutes specific numbers, where housing is going here in Knoxville, median home sold prices, and those kind of things to give you an idea of where things are right now from a cost perspective. But one of the things I tell everyone, Knoxville is not a cheap place to buy a home. Hasn't been for quite some time. But what it is in Knoxville and other parts of East Tennessee for sure, these areas are really inexpensive when it comes to owning that piece of real estate, and that can be really, really important. So if you're going into retirement, doesn't matter if you're buying $1 million, $2 million home, or you're looking for a $250,000 home, everyone establishes a budget for their retirement. So if you get your home paid for, and I know a lot of my clients are paying cash for homes, once that home's paid for, it's still not really just yours. We have to pay taxes on that home, and you'll pay taxes on that home for as long as you live or for as long as you own that piece of property. So the taxes and the holding cost of a home, whether it comes to taxes, insurance, utilities, all those kinds of things directly affect the amount of your budget and what you're going to have available to spend on things you want to do in retirement. It also does the same thing for a single person or somebody with young kids. Everybody has a budget, and those monthly expenses, when you break up your taxes and insurance and those things, feed into the overall overall cost of ownership of that home. So I know I hear a lot of people online saying, the cost of homes in Knoxville is going way up. It's not inexpensive. It's not whatever. Yeah, it's anywhere that's desirable in the country right now. It's not going to be inexpensive. If you're buying homes that are inexpensive, it's probably because there's not a lot of people looking to move there. But compared to other parts, especially on the West Coast, the Northeast, our homes are still very inexpensive. But it is the difference in holding costs. I know if you're out in Texas, you're paying huge real estate taxes. You're in California, huge real estate taxes. Up in New York, the cost of ownership is really, really important to anyone who owns a home. So there's not just purchase price, there's cost of ownership, there's holding costs, there's all these things. So when you think about Knoxville, one of the things I want to make sure and drill down on is that our homes are either probably about the same as where you're coming from, maybe they're more than where you're coming from, or maybe they're less, but our holding cost and the cost to live and work here and own a home here in Tennessee is going to be very affordable compared to almost everywhere else in the country. So we did a video a few months ago, and the numbers in that video for the real estate costs, the real estate numbers I'm giving you are pulled from our MLS system as of the end of April 2023. The numbers I'm going to use today are pulled as of the end of September 2023, so they're very current numbers, and I hope that what they'll do is give you a little bit of clarity if you haven't been here in the market to see what's going on, what to expect when you get here, and get a good understanding. There's also a ton of misinformation out there. I saw a video earlier today where somebody's telling me how the real estate market in Knoxville, Tennessee is going to drop 30%. They're not in Knoxville, I can promise you that, and they're not in the real estate business in Knoxville for sure, or they wouldn't make that statement. So let me give you some real numbers. So back at the end of April 2023, the median sales price of a home here in Knoxville was $320,000. Now, at the end of September, that median sales price had grown to $339,000. That's right, it had grown. Pricing is still going up by and large across Knox County. Why is that? It's because we have a low inventory and we have a ton of people looking to move and live in the wonderful area of Knoxville. Now, what do those numbers represent? So those numbers represent a 5.9% increase in median sales price just since April, the end of April. They also represent an 8% increase year over year. Now, monthly, those numbers are going to vary a little bit, but I'll try to come back in a few months and give you another update 3, 4, 5 months down the road again to see where things are. Now let's cover listings that are available. So there were 3,291 homes, properties listed for sale in the Knox County as of the end of April. So that number has increased at the end of September to 4,087 homes. So we have seen an increase in inventory, which has been wonderful for those of us that are working with buyers. But here's what we're also seeing. We have also seen a decrease. That's right. At the end of April, the average days on market was 39. At the end of September, it's 34. So we've seen the number of days those homes are sitting on the market decreasing. That's not what you're going to hear if you start searching around the internet for what's going on in the real estate market around the country. Now, you also have to look at volume. So let's look at volume. How much in dollar value, how much homes were sold in this period of time? So at the end of April, the April sales volume was 584,400. The August sales volume was 604,000. So volume has also increased. The median sold prices, I told you, had gone from 320,000 or so up to 339,000. So we've covered all those areas. All of those are positives when you look at a real estate market. Now, I also am hearing a lot of people talk about price reduction. They're looking online, they're seeing a lot of homes that are being reduced in price. What does that mean? Does it mean that the market is dropping? You know, doomsday people on the internet and on YouTube, you can find out by listening to them that what they say is that means the housing market is about to crash. That is not what it means. Listing price is pretty much irrelevant. What you need to worry about is sold price. So are the home sales prices going up, going down, or staying the same? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Don't look at the listing price. Here's what the listing price represents. It represents two things. It represents the sellers of these homes hoping to get the same crazy appreciation they may have gotten a year or 2 years ago. Yes, the market is no longer giving that. It's still appreciating and it's still holding its own. But the reality of it is we're not seeing 15% appreciation a year like we have in the past on our homes. But sellers haven't come to that realization yet. They know that their neighbors sold their home in their same subdivision that's just a little bit smaller than them for $500,000 a year ago or 6 months ago or whatever. And they want $650,000 for theirs because if they take the same per square foot price, it would only be $6, so they think it should be worth $650, right? Because they just in their mind have done that. The second thing a listing price represents is the listing agent's opinion of the value of that home. Now, when I say that, that really should be the case. The listing price should represent what a real estate professional has sat down with their clients and expressed to them as being backed up with numbers what the real estate value is of their home. That's not always the case. Inventory is really low and listing agents need listings, right? So if we walk into, or if somebody walks into a home, I'm not a listing agent, but if somebody walks into a home and the home is really worth $550 and that person says they want listed at $6.25, most listing agents right now are telling them, we're a little high for the market, but let's test it and see what happens. And they throw it on the market so they can go ahead and get the listing. They get the leads from it, they get all the things that go along with it. Sadly, what happens is that home is probably worth $550,000. It's seen a 1 to 3, 5% appreciation rate. That's what the home sells for. So we see these price reductions. But if you look at the sold price, it's the same or higher in these markets. So quit looking at reductions. Reductions are an imaginative number because they're not really based on anything. There isn't a real formula to pricing these homes a lot of times. I talked to someone the other day that said on a new construction, you just pay sticker because that's what they do, no matter what they ask. Well, that's just not how the market works anymore. You can't just assign a value because that's what you want it to be. There has to be some numbers behind it. So the market has corrected itself, and that's good for the buyer and is holding a little steadier and making these sellers and the listing agents pull these homes back down to a realistic sales price and appreciation rate on the homes. You can't buy a home and make 25% on it by flipping it 12 months later anymore. Those days are pretty much gone. That's why you don't want to focus on listing price. And anytime that you hear anyone who claims to be an expert telling you that they're seeing a lot of price reductions and that means the market's dropping, you need to turn them and go to somebody else because that's not the important number. Look at what the homes are selling for. That's the true number of where the market's at. So to go along with the discussion on listing price reductions, let me give you another number. As of June of this year, homes were selling for 97.4% of their list price. $100,000 home brings 97.4. Right? That was what it was bringing at the end of June. That was our average. That has dropped to 95.8% of list price. But here's the problem with that. It goes right along. That number is reflective of what I'm telling you about unrealistic expectations on the front end on the list price, which is affecting that number. It's not a true drop in market. I want to give you one more number that's very, very important if you want to know what's going on in the housing market across the country. And I say this because we did another video, so don't be lied to or stop being lied to or whatever, something like that, where I address some specifics about what's really going on across the country in the real estate market. But this is just one more indicator of what I said in that video, and that's about inventory, okay? We've got a huge generation of young people who are coming into the buying market age. We also have a lot of folks who are now approaching retirement and looking to move to new areas. Homes on the market, I want to make sure I get this right. At the end of August, there were 1,528,928 homes for sale in the United States. That number represents a 17.7% drop in homes for sale year over year. What does that mean? It means inventory is going down. So if we all understand this, if you have more people wanting something and you have less of them available, how are we going to see these huge price drops that everybody's telling us about? Rates only affect a certain part of the market. They don't have any effect on the cash buyer and sometimes can be better for them as their money is drawing more interest. And what it does is it does take the person who was looking maybe at a $600,000 home, now they're in a $400,000 category. Yes, it's harder on that person. It is. They have to be more realistic about where they are today, but it doesn't take them out of the market. You got to have somewhere to live. The housing market and the cost of living here in Knoxville is very affordable. The cost of ownership, some of the best in the country. And please check out those other videos so that you can see that. But the real estate market here in Knoxville is solid. And so if you're looking for a place to move, buy, that you can really enjoy life like out here at Lakeside Park Weichert today, and also buy a home and spend some money in a market that's very resilient to what's been talked about across the country in an area that's become very, very popular for those looking to relocate across generations, then you really do need to consider Knoxville, Tennessee. Guys, I have really enjoyed this video. If you haven't already subscribed, do that below. Give us a thumbs up. We love those. And until next time, I can't wait to see you around Knoxville soon.